Good
Good
evening.
evening, everyone.
Isn't it nice to have light at night, Mary Beth? Like a little bit?
Oh my gosh, changes
Ah!
everything. It absolutely changes everything.
It
Especially
does.
our headspace, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. Headspace.
Yay. So if you're new to the Writer's Adventure, this is our Tuesday night writing group. I'm talking really fast today because I have so many things on my list, as I know Mary Beth does too. So just sort of everything feels like it's going fast. However, we've put aside non-fast time. We've put aside 90 minutes to write. So thank you for
Slow
joining us.
it down. Slow it all down. Take some deep breaths. Let's check in on that note of deep breaths.
Over to you.
Oh, look. I just want to show you this. This has been a really big influence on me lately. I
Okay.
got this at an awesome secondhand bookstore in Mexico, Puerto Morelos, and I've only read the first 5 pages, but it's like, and it's so simple, but I'm thinking about it all the time, which
Wow.
is to me the sign of an effective book.
Yeah, I bet you there's some good writing prompts in some of those relaxed prompts in there.
I bet you. But anyhow, no matter what's going on, we can all just take 5 minutes to relax, knowing that everything we need to be happy and calm is right here, right now. And if we can just acknowledge that with a few breaths, maybe that's a good way to start our evening of writing, in which we are going to sink into space where time is a little bit different. So maybe we just want to take one more moment to check in for ourselves. Say, what I'm feeling right now.
As I slow down, I notice
I can feel my breath.
I'm getting here by
And I'm connected to.
so if you're new, we offer those reflection prompts or writing prompts, but they're really just breath prompts to locate, just to self-locate, where am I right now? As you flip open your notebook or your blank page to start writing, just get here. Acknowledge that you're starting your writing practice tonight. All right. So our little conversation, we always open with a bit of a couple of tips, and then we offer some writing prompts, and you can use them or not use them. You've set this time aside to write. These are a leaping off point for you. And we started tonight with a conversation around Mary Beth was like, you know what I've been thinking about? How do you bring things to life on the page? And I'm like, funny you used to say that, because I thought we were going to talk about maybe emotional life, which is like they're totally intertwined.
Yeah, which is this kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
There is no life without emotional life.
No. And yet emotional life, isn't and then this happened and then this happened and then this happened. Emotional life is actually stilling like everything down to like feeling.
Yeah. Or, I think as we were coming up with these prompt ideas, what I realized is that emotional life, imagine a detail, one sentence, a detail told in one sentence that tells a much bigger story. So, in one of our conversations last week, we talked about this sort of funneling down of taking all these ideas and distilling them, or taking a distilled idea and turning it into something bigger. So I think this is kind of an example of how do we distill a very big story into one small detail. So that just hit me.
Mm.
I'm sorry if that felt off track to you.
Not at all. No.
It felt very prescient to me.
Yeah, because I was thinking about, some of our writing prompts are, um, to me, they read kind of like noticings, and I think about, like, if we're looking at how do you write emotional life, right? I think about those times, when you walk into a room in the middle of something, and as soon as you walk in, you can feel it. And it's not so much that, I mean, it might be that your body feels it, but it's mostly that you notice something. There's you'll notice the way someone's gripping the edge of the chair, or you'll notice, that the person's sitting on the edge of the, like this, or that a glass is just broken, but you're actually noticing something, and that's what you can write about.
Mm.
That there's like external descriptive pieces that you can write about, or you can write internal monologue, what's going on as you notice the detail, right? And it's like, how do we put in words the emotional life but talk about it like it's happening in real time.
Right. Like disappointment.
Yeah.
That emotion just hit me. I don't know. I think about it. I think to me, disappointment is tied to the act of parenting. I think it's very ingrained in us. I'm disappointed that my child did not follow in my footsteps. But there's a really big story in that, right? You're not just disappointed, you're disappointed by something. And whatever that immediate thing is tied to something much bigger. So I think our prompts are kind of like that. We're trying to go for that. So, um, or Tina and I have talked just now that the emotion of grief came up,
Mhm.
right? Is grief just a look on someone's face? Maybe. Or
Mhm.
maybe grief is not leaving the house, or think of what are ways that grief shows up. I mean, a million ways we can't count, but they're always specific to an individual, to a circumstance, to a very particular emotional, everyone's emotional reaction is different and shows up differently. So I think that really provides us as authors, whether we are writing fiction or nonfiction, to be creative and to notice more about the interesting ways emotions show up.
Yeah. Um, and again, I just come back to, like, how do you take the intangible and make it tangible? To
Mm.
me, it's either in noticings, like details that you see, or it's stringing miniature stories together, like moments together.
Mm.
Right? Or, it just made me think at some point we gotta do a writer's adventure on the, oh, whatever that high school thing, what is it called? Pieces of speech. What am I trying to say? Like alliteration, hyperbole, personification. What are those called again?
Well, those are like elements of poetry, aren't they? Or I don't
Yeah,
know.
but there was like an English
We'll look it up and make a boot camp for you.
there's an English 11 term. They're like
Yeah.
figures of speech. Anyway, they're tools. Because I
Yeah.
was thinking about, a chair. When you personify a chair can be grief stricken
Mhm.
just by the way the chair is in the room. Like I was so heartbroken. I walked in and or no, I wouldn't say it like that. Like my chair, I sat in the grief chair,
Mm.
you know? So, yeah, there's lots of ways to get here, but the main thing is we're trying to get you to get into practice of making the intangible tangible, and we've given you 3 ways in. Yeah.
And get into the head, right? To get into your own head and if you're writing about yourself, your own experience, to get into your own head and to like really lay out what it is that you feel and think and why. If you're writing about someone else or you're writing a fictional character, get into their head. Such a
Mhm.
such a big task, but I think
Yeah.
probably a really I don't know, almost I think it can be an addictive sort of
Wow,
thing. I mean, addiction in a good way, right? It's just like
totally.
learning how to do that and like opening up the world of getting into
Yeah.
the brains of others.
Healthy escapism.
Healthy escapism. That's better than addiction. How about that?
I love it. Okay, so we've got some prompts for you to get you started tonight. Um, this actually was, I stole this from Mary Beth. I loved it. I could tell by the way she sat down.
Hmm.
She showed me her happiness when,
Okay, can I go?
yeah.
I knew he loved me because, and the grief showed up by.
And then another way I put it is you could see the grief in the air.
Hmm.
Dot, dot, dot. All right. Happy writing.
And you can replace those emotions with other
Mhm.
ones if that works for you too. You know, whatever works for
Totally.
you. End of the day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Happiness, joy, ecstasy, all of it. All right. We'll be back in an hour and a half to check out. And in the meantime, we're going to look up the figures of speech thingy and answer that for you. Clearly, we spend more time writing than we do, whatever, following grade 11 English curriculum. Okay. Happy writing, everybody.